Hi, you're listening to The Roar, and this is Dimensions with D. I'm your host, D'Angelo, and today I have a special guest on the show today. How are you doing today, Stephanie?
I am great. How are you?
Doing good. How has sophomore year been for you so far?
It's been going good. A little more challenging than freshman year, which is to be expected, but I've been growing my involvement, so it's been overall really good semester.
Yeah. Speaking of involvement, I would say you're one of the most involved students I know right now. So when did you being involved start? Like, how did it all start for you?
Yeah, so it started my freshman year in the fall semester. I got introduced to First Year Senate, which is a program by Student Government Association. And through, First Year Senate, I got the ability to kind of branch out and, get involved in other things other than SGA. But that's kind of been the groundwork for everything that I've been doing on campus was First Year Senate.
Gotcha. If you would describe your college experience so far in one word, what would it be, and why?
I'd probably have to choose impactful. I feel like in everything that I do, I try to leave an impact, whether it be in student government or in my sorority, Phi Mu. I like to be a leader in every single room that I walk into, and I like to, do something meaningful in every single room. So I'd probably say impactful.
What created that ideology for you for like being like a impactful leader?
I mean, I feel like if you're a leader in general, it's important to, make an impact, period, because then you're not really a leader.
Yeah.
And so I feel like every leader should strive to leave an impact wherever they go. So I just say, like I said, impact for sure.
Yeah. So your major is pre-nursing, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So why pre-nursing? Like, what drew you to that particular field?
Yes, so I've always wanted to go into the healthcare field. I feel like my calling in life is to serve others. I've loved volunteering. I love helping others, and so healthcare was always, at the front of my mind when coming into college. And so I looked into the nursing program at Memphis, and I fell in love with it. I truly believe nursing is my calling, and so yeah, that's why I chose to be nursing.
Did you have any family who did like were in healthcare before? Or?
Yes, a lot of my family went into healthcare. My dad's a physical therapist. My mom's an eye nurse. So healthcare has always been, in my range, but I really, really enjoy the pre-nursing program so far, and like I said, I think it's my calling in life.
So was it kind of like an expectation for you to go into healthcare, or was it something that you really want to do yourself?
I definitely feel like, kind of.
Okay.
So I'm from a Filipino household,
Yeah.
so Filipinos in healthcare is very common and very
Oh, okay.
prevalent, and so nursing was always, like I said, at the forefront of my mind, but I really enjoyed looking into the program, and that's why I ultimately chose nursing.
Gotcha. Do you feel like being in nursing shapes how you see other people and their struggles?
100%. I feel like it's made me more empathetic, allows me to put myself in other people's shoes, which is very critical when you're wanting to become a nurse. And so I would definitely say, it's helped me see other people's struggles.
Gotcha. Has studying healthcare, like so far that in your classes so far, changed how you take care of yourself?
I would say so. Mentally, I like to take care of my mental health, and then physically, I like to be physically healthy, obviously. And so I do think it has changed kind of how I take care of myself.
What would you say has been the most, either the hardest or the most meaningful part of you being like a pre-nursing major so far?
Mm-hmm. I don't think the coursework is that challenging. I'm really good at time management, something that I learned in college, and so I wouldn't say there's something really challenging so far. Now, you'll have to come back to me next year when I get to the nursing program, hopefully.
Yeah.
You'll have to ask that question again.
Yeah.
But so far, it's been pretty calm, pretty chill. So I've just been, focusing on school, and then obviously my involvement as well.
Cause since you're pre-nursing, is it just you just taking like the genetics right now?
Yes, so
Okay.
my freshman and sophomore year has just been the prerequisites. So, the general education classes, the science classes. So it's been pretty chill. Like I said, I'm really good at time management. So I have a pretty great schedule where I can balance both academics and involvement.
Gotcha. Now to go back into your involvement on campus, you're in quite a bit of stuff on campus. So how do you manage to be in all of it? In how do you manage all that?
Yes, so like I said again, time management, it's something I had to learn coming into college. I have 2 calendars. That's my biggest advice for people who want to be involved is have a calendar. I have one specifically for academics, my classwork, and then I obviously have one for my involvement, whether it be Phi Mu, SGA, mock trial, TISL, like all of that kind of stuff, tour guides, my tours. I just stay on top of it by keeping a calendar and holding myself accountable for sure. So that's how I do it.
So do you like? Is it hard to be consistent? Because you have to put the dates on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have to, like, is it just second nature to just write stuff on the calendar now?
I think so. At the very beginning of every single semester, I go ahead and look at all the assignments, write it down. And then usually when an assignment opens up, I just go ahead and do it. There's really no point of procrastinating and waiting last minute because I'm just not going to do the work. So I kind of just do it all at once when it comes out. But then in regards to involvement, as soon as something comes up, like an event that's on the calendar, I just whip out my calendar, put it, on there, and I'm set. And I check it pretty regularly every morning, afternoon, and night. So just to keep myself accountable and on track.
Have you ever been a procrastinator or?
Yeah, 100%. My freshman year, fall semester, when my involvement first started, I did not have a calendar. I did all my assignments the day before they closed. Sometimes I'd miss the assignments and I'd have to beg my teachers for extra credit or to open up the assignments. And so it's definitely something that every student at college has to learn is time management and to stay on track. Because, involvement is good, but you're a full-time student, so that's what matters.
So that moment happened for you like pretty quickly in your first semester?
Yes,
Wow.
it did.
So what has being in all these roles and in all these organizations have taught you about leadership and working with people, different people?
It's taught me a lot. I feel like, a lot of traits. Communication's a big one.
Yeah.
Having to communicate with people and putting yourself in their shoes because life happens, things happen in life, and so you kind of have to be, like I said, being a pre-nursing major, empathetic. Work with people where they're at. So communication's a big thing for me. And then obviously, I like to say productivity, being productive and everything, being intentional is a big thing as well. I feel like when you're doing things on campus, whether it be academically or through your involvement, you have to be intentional, period, because you're just wasting time if you're not being. So definitely intentionality and communications are the biggest things that I've learned throughout these roles in leadership.
You mentioned communication, so is that something that would you say has changed throughout your time in college so far, or has it been the same?
I would say so. Communication looks a lot differently for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It could be a simple text follow up with an email. I personally like communication in person, so I've had times in the past where communication can be not the best when it's through text or through social media because things can get misconstrued and taken the wrong way. So the biggest thing that I've learned as a leader, especially as a sophomore now, is that if you have something to say, shoot them a text saying, can you call, can you meet on campus, something like that, just so that you're intentional, like I said, and then obviously productive and making sure that you're relaying the correct information.
That's some good advice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So has there been a moment so far on campus where you thought, this is why I stay involved?
Yeah, so I feel like in everything that I do is a reason
really?
why I want to stay involved. Yeah, through SGA, I love advocating for student voices. Our slogan is to amplify the student experience, and so through that, I've been able to serve the student body by bringing concerns and things that they want to see here on campus. Through Phi Mu has really shaped who I am as a person. I think it goes back to my calling of wanting to serve others. I recently just got elected as philanthropy chair, so being able to support organizations that are bigger than myself, like Children's Miracles Network Hospital, specifically the Bonner right in our backyard. I've been able to do that, which kind of furthers my career in nursing. And so I feel like this is kind of why I stay involved, is my calling to serve others, and being selfless in doing that is, like I said, something that I don't take lightly.
Now you mentioned being in SGA, so what made you want to be involved with that?
With SGA, so
Yes.
like I said, my freshman year I joined First Year Senate, which is a first year program specifically for people who have never done SGA before.
Yeah.
And through that program, that organization, I've had amazing advisors as well as people who are in SGA who wanted me to get involved in other aspects of campus, and so kind of branched out, joined Greek Life, created my own club, Mock Trial Club, which is currently thriving right now. And so that's kind of just how I've gotten the chance to get involved specifically with SGA as well it's kind of like the groundwork, like I said earlier, the groundwork of everything that I do now.
So SGA was kind of like the first thing you got involved with?
Yes, SGA, yes.
So what made you, I guess, apply to be in first year synod? So that's like the first thing.
Yes, so I actually came into college. I was very involved in high school. I mean, I was class president for 2 years, vice president for 1, and then senior service project chairman for my senior year. And so I came into college not having the same mindset of wanting to get that involved. I mean, I wanted to join Greek life, that was for sure, because when I was service project chairman, volunteering was a big thing for me, so I wanted to join Greek life, but it wasn't until Weeks of Welcome, which is the first week prior to school starting, where I met my Weeks of Welcome leader, and I mentioned First Year Senate. I mentioned that I did class council to him at the time, and he was like, you should do First Year Senate, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, applied, got in, loved it, and then that, set the groundwork for everything I do now.
Now, I also was in first year center in regular SJ. So, with you being also in it, what would you say, some things that like you want to see done in the future, like some things that can be improved?
Yeah, I feel like everything can be improved. There's always room for improvement. Yeah. My main thing about being an SGA is listening to student concerns. I feel like if one student has an issue, other students also have that issue. They're just not saying it, and so I feel like we should be more intentional in SGA, probably by doing more tablings, getting the concerns of the students, and then, like I said, amplifying that student experience, which is what we do.
Yeah. Like, so do you think that could help more with like more people knowing about SGA?
I definitely do think so. Okay. I feel like not many people actually are applying for SGA, which I'm kind of surprised for. But that's something that we need to work on, kind of getting SGA more out there and showing students that you do have a voice. And it's not just us doing things on campus because we want to see it. We want to do things because it'll benefit you and your student experience here.
Gotcha. Okay. Would you say, is there like a difference between like the plug version of you, like the leader that you are on campus, and like the personal you?
I would say so. There's not a big difference. I feel like I'm Stephanie through and through. My friends can attest to that. I'm a pretty fun and goofy person all the time, but there are certain times where I have to be professional, obviously, within SGA. But I feel like I'm just Stephanie. But I don't want to have a whole different persona when I'm going into different organizations on campus, because then it kind of just makes me seem, boring. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just Stephanie. I just act like myself. And then obviously professional I need to be.
Gotcha. Now, what is something people don't see about being, I wouldn't say heavily, but so much involved on campus that you will want people to know, especially people coming into college who want to be involved but don't want to, who are like kind of unsure about it?
Yeah. So, I guess the work. It's one thing I like to post my accomplishments on, LinkedIn, Instagram, all that. Yeah. But it's one thing to post it and actually do the work. Sometimes some things I post will take months to do. Yeah. And so being consistent, being intentional, like I mentioned earlier, is very important. What people also don't see is, I guess, the connections you make through that as well. With being involved, it comes with making a lot of connections and networking with people. And that's another thing that people don't really see about being heavily involved on campus.
Gotcha. So what do you think is like? So people like especially freshmen who or like people who are coming to like orientation or preview days, if they like ask about involvement, what would you tell them?
I would say put yourself out there. I was also a timid freshman once, and so
really,
yes, being able to put yourself out there. Coming in as a freshman, you probably don't know a lot of people on campus, and so I had this advice given to me. I say, college is a time to reshape yourself, rebrand yourself. You have the opportunity to become a whole different person than you were in high school. If you were shy and timid in high school, this is your chance in college to break out of your shell and get involved and meet new people, because college is where your life really starts, in my opinion. In high school, I would say I was pretty extroverted. However, coming into college, I was a little nervous because I didn't know many people. And so definitely my biggest advice for freshmen is to put yourself out there. Ask questions. That's a big thing. Ask questions. There are people who have been in college 1 year, 2 years, 3 years older than you who can give you so much advice on how to get involved. Just ask those questions because it's not scary at all. Just ask them.
So you mentioned high school. So did you say that you were like class president in high school?
Yes.
So what would you say is like? What would you say are like the difference between you now and you back then?
I mean, back then, high school Stephanie, she kind of just focused on school, and I mean, involvement was a big thing for me as well. But like I said, coming into college, it's a whole different domain. It's I went to a really small private school in Cordova, Tennessee, about 400 students. It's nothing compared to a school with 20,000 people. Let me tell you right now. But definitely coming into college, it was just a little more scary because it's not that same environment, and
Oh, okay.
you
Yeah.
have more freedom to do things that you want to do instead of being stuck in school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You have freedom of what you do and how you spend your time, and so um, like I said, I was a very timid freshman, and just putting yourself out there is a really big thing.
Yeah. So with everything you do, how do you protect your mental health with everything you do, like on campus or outside of campus?
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate to have a really great group of friends. My best friends, Angie and Mia, they're always by my side. Whether it be if I'm crashing out over academics or having something personal going on in my life, which I was in the spring semester last semester. I was going through a hard time, and they were honestly just my rock. Coming into college, if you didn't have that resource, my biggest advice, whoever's listening to this, is that we do have a counseling center. This is really the tour guide and me talking right now. But if you're a freshman coming in and you don't have that core group of friends, we do have a counseling center, and you get those 6 free counseling sessions if you really,
Yeah.
are going through it in college, which happens a lot.
Do you ever feel like, with you being the leader and an example for other students, do you ever feel the pressure to have everything together because people look up to you so much?
I would definitely say so. You pretty much said it. People do look up to you as a leader, and so it's important to act a certain way, present a certain way, and so it can be a little hard to kind of, pull it together when you're going through something. But also as a leader, you kind of have to be vulnerable and let people know where you're at, because sometimes people look up to you and they're just like, she has nothing going on in her life. Her life is perfect because look at all the things she does. That is totally false. Everyone goes through different things, and so if you are going through a hard time, I mean, some people express it in different ways. Some people who are leaders will be like, I'm going through this, and this is how I'm going to get through it. Other people, go through it in silence, but knowing that you have someone by your side is something that's really important.
Now, when you were like being in all these positions on campus, did you ever did you always consider yourself a leader, or like did you ever have or did you not think yourself as a leader, or like what was that point? Because I guess for me, that's how I kind of felt until people would start telling me that I was a leader, because I always didn't think I was the leader that people were saying I was. So how I was wondering, did you ever experience that as well?
Yeah, I honestly felt that as well. Especially my freshman year, I was pretty involved my freshman year, and I kind of just was living life, doing my involvement, wasn't really thinking about what people thought of me. But even as a freshman, like, you have so much influence already, especially if you're going to get involved, and so yeah, being a leader is something that I urge everybody to be. So.
Now I think you mentioned this, but how do you handle moments when you feel like overwhelmed, stressed, or burnt out from everything that you're doing?
Yeah, so I mean, talk it out with somebody you trust. It could be friends, family. That's the biggest thing. My best friends have been my rock throughout college.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I'm going through a hard time, I kind of just go towards them. It's really important to have somebody in your life who can be able to be that rock for you, especially when you are so involved. And so yeah, just definitely having that core group of people by your side.
What's one thing you wish other students knew about balancing leadership and like your own well-being?
Yeah, holding yourself accountable. Like I said, I'm gonna mention again, a calendar. Like, a calendar is a must-have in college, especially if you're involved in more than 2 organizations. Because first and foremost, you're a student full-time, period. Doesn't matter how much you're involved, you are a student. That's your main priority in school, and so it's hard to balance academics and involvement, and so having that calendar and holding yourself accountable is super, super important. Yeah, so definitely just having a calendar is so important.
So do you feel sometimes that being involved makes it harder to admit when you're not okay at certain points, or in general, or just in general?
I do think so. I feel like it goes back to your question about saying if it's hard to, or you said do you ever feel pressure because people look up to you? I
Yeah.
think it's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
Especially when people do look up to you, it's kind of hard to be like, I am going through something. But like I mentioned earlier, just having that core group of friends who will uplift you when you are feeling down, and especially with being involved, you will have those people around you who will care about you regardless. And so I would say, yeah, it is harder to admit, especially when you're a leader, to kind of say that you're
Yeah.
struggling.
Now, did you meet those core people for you in college, or were they from high school?
I did. So my core group of friends I've met through Greek life.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Greek life is a big thing that has shaped me of who I am today. It's honestly one of my favorite involvements in college is Greek life.
What made you get involved with Greek life?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I was very involved in high school, and my senior year, I was service project chairman of the senior class.
Yeah.
And so I fell in love with volunteering,
Mhm.
and I knew nothing about Greek life in high school until my senior year. My best friend in high school, she was a Phi Mu, or her sister and her mom were Phi Mu's at Ole Miss, and so I wanted to look into Greek life, and I saw that every single Greek organization has a philanthropy, and so upon looking at the different philanthropies that the Memphis Greek life has, I was like, okay, that's the first thing I want to do in college is to rush, because I really do, love the whole aspect of contributing to something bigger than yourself. And funnily enough, I did join Phi Mu in Memphis, so it's kind of like a full circle moment.
Yeah. So you mentioned you just you're the new philanthropy chair, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what goes into that? Like what will you be doing?
Yes. So first and foremost, my freshman year I was Panhellenic delegate, and I'm transitioning into philanthropy chair. So what philanthropy chair does is we plan the 2 philanthropy events for the fall and spring semester. So in the spring semester, I'll plug it right now, y'all. Come to Greece Got Talent, hosted by Phi Mu. It's where every single Greek organization, Panhellenic, IFC, and hopefully D9 this year will have them have a dance competition. And it's a pretty big event. Last year, I believe we raised $15,000, $16,000, around that amount of money towards Le Bonheur Children's Hospital. And so I'll be planning that event as well as hosting it. And so you'll see all the Panhellenic and IFC fraternities and sororities, hopefully D9, like I said, participate in this year's Greece Got Talent. But I'll be in charge of hosting, planning, and then just specifically for that event. And then for the fall semester, we have one philanthropy event. Usually it kind of differs from year to year. We had Pasta Palooza last year, which is a spaghetti dinner. And then this year we had Boo Bash because it was in October. And so it might change in the fall semester, so you'll have to keep in tune with that. You'll have to check our Instagram page for what our philanthropy event will be. But our most upcoming one is Greeks Got Talent, like I mentioned. And then philanthropy chair is also in charge of service hours, so it's required to get 10 service hours per semester. So I'll be in charge with keeping track of those as well as setting up days to volunteer with Le Bonheur.
So is Greece Got Talent, that's in the spring, correct?
Yes, that's in the spring. That's around, I think, March or April.
So I know. So will Phi Mu be having will they be dancing as well?
Yes. So typically Phi Mu will perform last because we're not judged.
Yeah.
We're hosting the event. So after every fraternity and sorority performs, at the very end, Phi Mu will perform while the judges are tallying up who wins overall competition, fraternity and sororities. And then as soon as we finish, they'll announce the winners.
Will you be performing as well, or are you just a host?
Yeah, I performed last year, but not this year, unfortunately, because like I said, I will be hosting the event, as well as just making sure everything goes according to plan. But yeah, not this year, not performing.
Since you performed last year, was that kind of like something new, or like how was that for you?
A little, nervous. A little nervous. I think I had 2 feet after that performance. I'm not the best dancer, but I really enjoyed getting the opportunity to dance, and I liked it. But I was in the back for a reason.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what's something you would say like being in Phi Mu has done for you, especially not just as being a leader, but like you as a person?
Yeah. I feel like Phi Mu has honestly been one of the best things I've joined in college.
Yeah.
Not only have I found my lifelong friends, but I've also grown as a leader.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, serving others is my calling. Especially in the healthcare field, Phi Mu has always been kind of like the backbone of everything regarding my major, nursing. And so I've been able to, volunteer and contribute to something bigger than myself with the most amazing girls. And I would recommend Greek life to anybody who's listening to this, whether it be D9, Panhellenic. I would 100%, go for it for Greek life. I've loved Phi Mu, and it's honestly shaped my life and has given me so much being in college.
Gotcha. Now, what advice would you give to? I think we answered. But what's the lesson you learned this year that you'll take into junior year?
Yeah, that's kind of hard to say. I feel like I've learned so much. I feel like just overall growth. I've grown so much my sophomore year, and taking that into junior year is a really big thing. I can always improve on skills. I'm really good at time management, but I could always get better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm still learning the ropes. I feel like I've been on track for everything I've been doing so far, and bubble-wise and academic-wise, but just keeping that same momentum going into junior year is important. So I'd probably say that, and then also just being more intentional. I want to give 110% in everything I do, especially with my involvement. And with being so involved comes with a lot of responsibilities, and so just being intentional with what I do with the time that I have.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear someone talking about still growing as a person. So you mentioned growth. So what would you say are some ways that you have grown this year than last year?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of personal growth, especially with communication, like I mentioned earlier. There's a lot of incidences where I would send a text and hope that communication would be good, but sometimes that just does not work. You kind of have to speak one-on-one with people on a phone call or in person to kind of get your point across, because things can be taken the wrong way. And so that's the biggest thing I probably learned coming in as a sophomore, is having that clear and effective communication. That's really, really important.
Would you say communication is one of your top values?
I would say so. Definitely communication is something that every leader needs to have, and it's something I've learned in college.
So to go more into that, what would you say are ways some students can improve communication?
I mean, how you say things really matters, even if it's through text. I think everything is more effective and efficient in person, personally. Yeah. Especially the tone of your voice is very important. So a simple phone call or asking to meet in person about a subject is something that's very important and something that can change your overall tone. So I'd probably say that.
Okay. Now, what's something that you're proud of that you don't say loud enough or often?
Yeah. Something I'm proud of. I feel like everything I do, not just my involvement, but academically as well. I've been on the dean's list every single semester throughout college while maintaining everything that I'm involved in. So I definitely say that's my biggest accomplishment, is being able to be involved so much and keep my grades up, because like I said, you're a full-time student at the end of the day. So I definitely just say that's my biggest accomplishment, is just being able to keep my grades up while still getting the chance to be involved.
What kind of person are you trying to grow into as you move forward in life?
Yeah, I want to be a leader through and through. I mean, it's one thing to be a follower, but it's another thing to be a leader. And that's something I've learned through college, is to set yourself apart from other people. Take the chances. You miss, I think the saying is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yeah. So just putting yourself out there and giving 100% in everything you do is super, super important. And so the person I want to grow into is just, improving the skills that I have now to be more of an effective and authentic leader. So that's what I would say is the person I'm trying to grow into.
So you mentioned, I guess, for to go back into career. So you think what you just said can be more applied to when you're trying to go into that career as well as you get older?
I believe so. I feel like in college there's so many organizations that you can join that are tailored to your major. I mean, for pre-nursing, there's Le Bonheur Club, Rising Health Professions. For pre-law, there's mock trial. There's so many different organizations you can join. And so just utilizing those orgs while you're here on campus can make a really big difference. I know a lot of people who are in pre-law who joined the Pre-Law Honor Society and different orgs on campus, and through that they found internships for that job. And so definitely just utilizing the organizations that are already on campus to benefit your future career is something that every single person needs to take advantage of.
Now, so you're the co-founder of Mock Trial, right?
Yes.
So, I guess I want to ask what made you start that? Because Mock Trial isn't. I would say that's very different from like nursing.
Yeah,
so,
very different.
What made you want to do that?
Yeah. So like you said, I am a pre-nursing major, not really anything to do with Mock Trial. However, I helped co-found the club my freshman year, the spring semester. That's one of the biggest accomplishments that I have personally. So Mock Trial started off as an idea. My really close friends Blake, Dexter, and Maddie Hayslett, shout out to y'all. They came from this trip TISL, which I went to recently. It's called the Tennessee Intercollegiate State Legislature, and they came back and they told me that every single school has a Mock Trial club besides Memphis. And being in student government, I was like, okay, what's the issue? Let's just start it ourselves. It's not, starting a club hasn't been my first, thing. Like, I've started a club before. And so I was like, how hard could this be? So, like I said, being in SGA, I had the resources and the people who I could contact to kind of get the club running. And so Mock Trial, honestly, like I said, started off as an idea. And by having those two people by my side, being able to give, the pre-law aspect of wanting to start the club, and then my ambition of wanting to give that outlet and opportunity for people who don't have that outlet to, study pre-law was a big thing. And so we literally over, I think, winter break started the Constitution, got the club accepted, did our first tabling event, and now Mock Trial is a huge club. We have, I believe, over 40 members, 25 actively participating, and we're going to be competing in March. We have 2 attorney coaches, so it's been pretty well, and we've been in contact with Jim Strickland, the former mayor and the president of the law school downtown. So it's been a really thriving club. I'm excited to see where it goes, but I'm a person who believes in creating opportunities when there are none. Just to preface a little bit, Mock Trial isn't available for everybody unless you're a senior. The only class available for Mock Trial here at the University of Memphis before Mock Trial Club was a Level 4000 club, or a Level 4000 class. And that class was not accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
So being able to create an outlet where people can explore not only Mock Trial, but kind of just learn the type of person they are and the type of leader they are is something that I'm very proud of. And one of my biggest accomplishments coming into college is definitely helping start Mock Trial.
Okay. Nice to know. So with everything that you've done, I would say you've done quite a lot. Like you have a legacy that you're leaving behind. So, is there anything else that you want to do at the University of Memphis, or what more? What do you want to do? Anything else here?
Yeah. Like you said, I'm already pretty involved.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't plan to join any other clubs. Kind of just moving up in the clubs that I'm already in.
Yeah.
I can't say exactly what I'm gonna go into because I'm not sure yet, but definitely just getting more involved in my sorority in SGA and just advancing in the roles that I already have. Just trying to create the biggest impact I can before I leave.
Do you think you'll ever want to be the Phi Mu president?
Probably not Phi Mu president.
Yeah.
We'll see about Panhellenic president. But,
Panhellenic, okay.
But we'll see where the wind takes me in a couple of years.
Gotcha. Okay. Now as we wrap up, my last question for you is, what's your go-to Waffle House order?
See, that's the one question I've been waiting for you to ask.
Yeah.
Honestly, it varies on the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it depends on what I'm feeling like, but right now I'm feeling like 2 waffles with some chocolate chips on top, melted, and then syrup, pieces of bacon, and then scrambled eggs. Sometimes it can be sunny side up, just depends on the day. And then a nice cold glass of apple juice. That's my order. Did your order change by my season, or is just how you feeling? How I'm feeling. I mean, some days I might want some pancakes, which is not really a lot because I like waffles better. But it just depends, like I said, on the day. So
just like a plain waffle with just the chocolate chip add-on?
Plain waffle with chocolate chips on top and then some syrup, hot syrup is kind of what I'm feeling like right now. But it might change if you ask me tomorrow. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on, Stephanie.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I had a good time.
Thank you. This has been Dimensions with D. I'm your host, D'Angelo, and that concludes today's episode.